I'd like to call to order this meeting of Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners. This is our regular meeting, September 12th, 2024. First of all, our apologies. We had a personnel matter that ran a little bit long, so we do apologize. There's a lot of people here. Please forgive us. We did meet in executive session to discuss matters of personnel and real estate. Tonight we'll have a pledge of allegiance followed by a moment of silence. I would ask the Commissioner Hisbro lead us in the pledge tonight.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Welcome once again. We'll begin with petitions, complaints, and suggestions from citizens. Does anybody wish to address the board tonight? Hearing none. Approval of the minutes from our August 22nd, 2024 Board of Commissioners workshop meeting. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second. Second. Comments, questions, all in favor?
I do have a comment. I'm sorry to, on page 5, on the discussion at the end, regarding Commissioner Barchak in the community room and ice skating rink. My recollection was that I think the way you raised the question was because of the Giant Center losing its community center, et cetera, you know, we need one, et cetera, and that they were going to have one there. But from what I recall, and I guess it was Mr. Bartan, that community center would not be open generally to the community. It would be the community within that development and not someone, and that's not reflected in here. I didn't know we needed to make that clear in the minutes. That the ice skating rink in the community center was specifically for that community as opposed to township at large. That was what I got from his discussion, and the minutes aren't reflected. I mean,
But my recollection is that wasn't mentioned, although that may be true about the community center, that wasn't mentioned during the course of the conversation of the meeting. So I think the minutes are probably correct as they stand.
Okay, I just recall that he said that on this. But I just wanted to raise it because I had that recollection.
Any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Recognitions and presentations. CAGA presentation. Diane Griffiths. Please come forward.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. My name is Diane Griffiths, and I'm vice president of the Capillary Greenbelt Association and chair of the planning committee. I'm also a resident of Susquehanna Township, has been for over 30 years, and I live at 508 Michelle Drive. I have been working on Greenbelt activities for the entire 30 years. So I do, we're here tonight. And Dick Norford is also a board member with the Capillary Greenbelt, and his role here with Susquehanna Township. We are making our rounds with our municipal partners. We want to give an opportunity to share with you what our priorities are and give you an opportunity to ask us any questions. So we want to be able to build on the relationships that we have with our 5 municipal partners and want to continue to strengthen it. So most importantly, we want to thank you. And I've worked with various park and rec directors over the years. I've worked with municipal managers over the years. The only one that's constant is Frank. So,
unfortunately,
Frank I've worked with the longest, and I want to say the leadership that you have now.
And we were neighbors-in-law.
Yes.
Right.
We thank you for all the support that you've given us over the last several years. You've been a member of our Tour de Belt, and Steve bears the wounds from the last episode.
Yesterday.
So we thank you for putting a team for that. We thank you for riding the belt with the participants. We thank you for the cemetery project, and that was a project in which, with the increased costs of asphalt, rose to about $17,000. Kaga had contributed $3,000, so we cost share as much as we can, but we appreciate the township fixing that section. The township passed an MOU with Kaga in May of 2023. It is the first MOU that we've ever had with any of our municipal partners, and it is working exactly as we intended. So I wanted to come back 18 months later and say, we have identified what our roles and responsibilities are. Doug Canals, myself, and Larry Wasser, who is the volunteer who maintains the section from Andrea Avenue, or from State Farm Road to the state hospital. He puts in about 100 hours a year, cutting the grass, blowing leaves, repairing the bridges, painting gates, and he has a crew of 3 that maintain that section as volunteers. So we walk the trail from Andrea all the way to the state hospital. We come up with a punch list of short-term and long-term activities. And when I looked at the punch list today, we have done almost everything we set out to a year ago. So we had a project to remove the bottom rails of the fencing, the mile-long fencing. We had a day of caring on Friday, and there were 6 staff from Phoenix, a couple staff from the township, a couple Kaga volunteers, and they knocked out 100 boards from one end to the other. And so that will make it easier for Larry to mow. So that was the whole purpose of that. So that was a big project we had planned. We have a section of the trail that's settling near State Farm Road, and HRG has gone out and investigated why it's settling. We've been band-aiding it with patch for the last 10 years, and they have HRG has provided us a plan for how to fix that, and so we will be back to the township working with you, hopefully to fix that section in 2025. So we want to, again, we can't thank you enough for the cooperation that we get from all of you. And I do want to update you on some of our key projects. So you have provided countless letters of support for the Paxton Parkway Restoration Project. We have raised over $5.5 million of a $6 million project. Our next phase of construction, a $1.2 million DEP grant that we've received, the township had provided $30,000 of funding through the Paxton Creek Cooperative. So I'm pleased to report that that project has been successfully awarded. We have hired Flyways, which is a company that you've also used successfully here. And Flyways will be starting in November. And the first project will be removing the sewer encasement that serves as a dam for the Parkway Creek and also serves as a unofficial mountain biking feature, as well as a place where the people walk across. But the sewer encasement is crumbling. It has major safety issues. And so that project will remove the encasement and will bury it into the creek, enabling a better environment in that part of the Parkway Creek. So after we complete that project in April, the city has also just received bids for another DCNR funded section. And it looks like we'll be able to award a contract that the bids came in lower than we expected. So this is all good news. So the second project should go to construction in the winter of 2025. And then by June, right after our 25th anniversary of Toward the Belt, we will be working on a PennDOT funded section that will restore the trail itself from Market Street, 2,400 feet south. So we will be removing asphalt. We will be taking it from a 20-foot carriage road, from a 100-year-old road, and reducing it down to a 12-foot meandering path with 4-foot grass edges on each side of it. If you do hear any concerns why you're reducing the size of the trail from 20 to 12, one, it would be cost prohibitive for us to do a 20-foot road and replace that. So that was one significant issue. The other is we needed to pull the trail back away from the stream for long-term sustainability, because we have a lot of erosion problems there. The water comes off the hillside, washes through under the bridge, under the trail, over the trail. And so we are trying to create a more sustainable system that it will be there in a fantastic condition for the next 100 years. So, and the trail, the greenbelt throughout all municipalities ranges from around 10 feet anyway. So that just happens to be a wider section because it was a road. So there are any questions about any of those, about the Parkway?
What was the distance from Market Street?
2,400 feet. It's about a third, the Paxton Parkway section is 1.2 miles long. And the first section is about a third of it. And we have received a second PennDOT grant to do the additional 0.8 miles. And that will likely go into construction in 2026. So there will be construction activity on the parkway for probably the next 2 years. There will be detours, and we will be working with Doug to be able to post when those detours, we have to close the trail, so there's just gonna be times that we're gonna have to close the trail for the construction that's going on. Any other questions on that?
Yes. Do you foresee any future changes on the detour at the PennDOT building to Cameron Street?
So, another big project of the Cavalier Greenbelt is permanent protection of the trail through South Harrisburg. And we do have a detour in place because the owner of the South Harrisburg section has closed that section. That is been in private ownership. We have worked with the owner since 1996 to be able to take the trail through South Harrisburg. So we are working to determine a new route through South Harrisburg and working with the partners that are there. So the detour we expect will be in place through 2025. That is just the reality. So it's gonna take a while to figure all that out. So the other key projects we have going on is that you all know that the Harrisburg State Hospital is reopening, which is a huge opportunity. And the Capillary Greenbelt and your township staff have created a list of possible mitigation ideas, kind of like a Greenbelt wish list. And the Greenbelt will be sending to PHMC and the DGS this mitigation opportunities. So as when they restore the state hospital or reopen the state hospital, they're going to be removing many of the historic buildings that are there. There will only be 4 remaining. And we do encourage the township to connect the Greenbelt to the employees that will be working there, as well as to the 4 remaining historic buildings that will be there, so that the public can easily see the history of the Greenbelt. But we also have a request for a parking lot. There's no trailhead at the state hospital, and people park everywhere. So if this is officially, when this officially reopens, we would like to be able to work with the state DGS to figure out where an appropriate public trailhead would be, so that people can park there to be able to access the Greenbelt. And when we attended the meeting with Betsy and Doug and DGS, they would see that as potentially a later phase. But we just wanted to get it on their radar and something to start thinking about. So the other 2 big projects that I just want to remind you all about is that the township has applied for funding to connect the new Wedgewood Park to Veterans Park Trail. That is something that I worked on 30 years ago. So I'm absolutely thrilled to see the township restoring what was the Wedgewood Swim Club, which was my swim club, and restoring it into an improved recreation facility, and then figuring out how to connect the residents of Wedgewood to the Greenbelt, and then onto the Veterans Park Trail, then onto the Greenbelt. I think that's a great opportunity. That's a great extension of the Greenbelt to where people live, so that people can easily get to the Greenbelt. When you can easily access a trail, you will use a trail more often than if you have to put your bikes in the back of a car and drive to a trailhead. So we are looking at opportunities to create an octopus, so that these tentacles go into neighborhoods. So just like I have the ability to walk to the Greenbelt from my house in Harris Hills, we want people from Wedgewood also to have the opportunity to also get to the Greenbelt easily. And then the second key project is connection of Lingelstown Road to Vaughn Street. And that's something that Tri-County Planning cares about, Dauphin County cares about, we care about, to be able to open up the riverfront from Vaughn Street to Lingelstown Road, and to keep that on our radar and keep that as an opportunity for us to figure out how we can extend the very successful Fort Hunter extension, also connected back to the riverfront through a similar condition where there's a protected barrier. And there's some discussions about that going on right now with Tri-County planning. And then lastly, when you establish a bike ped committee, I think that's what I've heard that will be one of your next steps with implementing the bike ped plan. We hope that you will appoint a Greenbelt representative and that we will be able to establish short-term and long-term priorities so that COGA can also plan. So we are an all-volunteer organization. We've learned we can only handle one big project at a time, but we're capable of raising millions, and we've done that through the Paxton Parkway. We'll be turning our attention to South Harrisburg next with our major fundraising needs, but we can certainly look to 2025, 26, partner up with Susquehanna Township on whatever your top priorities are with implementing the Green Belt.
Oh, thanks, Diane. That was.
I know you have a full house tonight, so thank you all for bearing with me.
No, not at all. And we truly appreciate our partnership with the Green Belt, you know, and accidentally it's right here, you know, it cuts through us, and, you know, we've added onto it with the Andrea Avenue Spur and now up to Fort Hunter with the Front Street extension. And it's one of the most enjoyable aspects of township work, at least for me. You know, taking care of budgets, making sure the roads are fixed, that's all very, very important. But trying to do things in partnership with people like you, with Mr. Wonderful, you know, and all the others in the organization is truly, you know, one of the things that doesn't have to be, but it is, and it makes for a better quality of life in the township. So thank you all.
I am remiss, and Lou, you want to raise your hand? So Lou is.
Lou Searles.
Lou Searles
Sorry
is
about-
responsible for a lot of new signs in Susquehanna Township. He worked with Doug to be able to add new signs so that people know where they're going. So people will ride out to my neighborhood and they're like, where am I? So when you take the Veterans Park Trail, it drops you off in Andrea Avenue and you're heading to Progress Avenue. So we now have a sign that says, this is where you're gonna end up. If you go this way, this is how you get up to the park. And that's was Lou's work. He also worked with the farm show and PAC to also improve the signage. But people get lost on the green belt. It's not a rail trail. You don't go out up and back. So people do get lost, and we're trying to do our best to make sure they find their way around.
Great. All right, thanks
Okay.
again.
All right. Hey, thank you all.
All right. Mr. Wonderful is also Dick Norfolk, so just FYI.
For the rest of it.
I got it.
Chief, we have presentation of public safety awards tonight.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
I would not.
You wouldn't have been, maybe you should have a pink pen.
Mr. President, member of the board, a special night for you here tonight. You know, over the years, we've all, those of us, the staff, the board have enjoyed a lot of special nights. And you know, I'm going to tell you, that's going to be one of the first, speaking for the first responders, police, fire, and EMS, we want to thank you. Because it starts with you as the board. It starts with you as the elected officials having the political will to ensure that the citizens of this township receive the public safety that they deserve. And you do that in a spectacular way. And I know that's not always easy, but the commendations start with all of you. You know, in America, we have something that is special that defines us. Whether you're in the military or law enforcement, you answer to civilian leadership. That defines us comparably to countries across the world. And I was listening to a podcast from a 4-star general recently, and he reaffirmed my appreciation for why we do that in this country. So we thank you. Tonight, what you're seeing, police, fire, EMS,
Your first responders defines one thing: life is ultimately about teams. And those of us in this room that represent the government, in uniform or not in uniform, we're all teammates together, representing this government to the citizens of Susquehanna Township. So before I get started with the awards, for those of us in uniform that are out there 24 hours a day, we know that it's the power of inspiration over the power of intimidation that makes the difference when you're wearing a uniform. And I just want to share a really brief story to really strengthen that statement that I did not know until recently. Has anybody in this room ever heard the phrase red light moment? Awesome. Sergeant Joe Martin, not a relative. Many years ago, Sergeant Joe Martin for the Louisville Police Department took a police report from a young 12-year-old boy whose bike was stolen. It was a red bike. That young boy at 12 years old, his name was Cassius Clay. And as he was taking this report, this young boy said, "When I find the thieves, I'm going to go whoop them up." And Sergeant Joe Martin said, "Well, before you go whoop them up, you need to learn how to fight." And unbeknownst to this 12-year-old Cassius Clay, Sergeant Joe Martin was a boxing instructor. And for the next 6 years, took young Cassius Clay under his wing at his boxing center. So if you go to the Ali Center in Louisville, there's a place that describes that red light moment in Muhammad Ali's life that changed the trajectory of his life, and not only Muhammad Ali's life, but everybody that Muhammad Ali touched in his life, and still touches. So that red light moment, for those of us that come across citizens in distress, occurs every day. So I just want to remind those of us in the room that every day you have that opportunity for a red light moment. Officer Jenna Bretz, come on over. On May 27th, 2024, Jenna, along with Officer Wolf, who already received his award a month ago for this same action, dispatched to assist the Pembroke Police Department for a suicidal person. Upon arrival, Officer Wolf and Officer Jenna Bretz entered the home with the Pembroke officer. Jenna, at the top of the stairs, could hear what sounded like a male in distress in the basement of the house. She immediately descended down the steps with 2 officers with her and found that there was a male hanging, attempting suicide. And these 3 officers together were able to grab this male, and Jenna was boosted up and cut the rope to save this young man. And that is a life-saving act. And she heard that sound of distress. I think the key sentence there is she did not hesitate to descend down those stairs, not knowing what she was running into. And that's really what defines life-saving. So Jenna, it gives me great honor to present you life-saving medal. Thank you for the distinguished life-saving action on May 27th, 2024. Jenna has a big fan club back there. Thank you for coming. Call up Sergeant Calvin Vanderpool, Officer David Manick, and Officer Tracy Kruger. July 31st at 5:30 p.m., our officers were dispatched to the Whisper Woods Apartments for 2 juveniles with cardiac arrest. Upon arrival, officers Yannick and Wolf found both two victim juveniles who were unconscious and had been found laying unconscious at the bottom of the pool. Officer Yannick and Officer Wolf immediately started CPR on each of these children. They were then assisted by Sergeant Calvin Vanderpool and Officer Chief Tracy Kruger. These efforts were then sustained by fire and EMS personnel who are also here being honored tonight. If not for the immediate life-saving measures of these officers, who from my view brought these two children back to life, those two juveniles surely would not be alive today, and they are alive. So it's an honor to present a life-saving medal for the saving of two children to Sergeant Calvin Vanderpool, Officer David Yannick, and Officer Tracy Kruger. Great job. These three?
Yes.
Yep, awesome.
Yeah, one.
I'm behind the tall one.
Yes.
And now for special surprise, I'm gonna call up Corporal Craig Lager, Miss Tamika Moy. Oliver. August 17th at 3:22 p.m. Officers were dispatched to the 1200 block of North Progress Avenue for a report of a cardiac event in a vehicle. Upon arrival of Corporal Lager, the vehicle was found in the southbound lane of travel, and he witnessed Miss Tamika Boyd giving life-saving CPR to the victim, Miss Janet Oliver. Transition of CPR was made from Tamika to Corporal Lager, who removed the victim from the vehicle. We continued CPR, at which point members of the Progress Fire Company, Susquehanna Township EMS arrived, took over life-saving measures. It's an honor for me to present both Corporal Lager and Miss Tamika Moore with a life-saving. My understanding that you had only been certified a week prior.
That's right. Use those skills.
Tamika, I'm not pinning this because that could get me in trouble. I'm just gonna present this to you, okay?
Thank you.
And I'm going to, I know the board would love to hear a little bit from both you, Tamika, and our patient.
Thank you.
How about we do that? Okay, you want to go first? Go ahead.
Okay, well, I can tell you that since this all has happened, I visited my cardiologist. And, they couldn't believe I have recovered as well as I have. When they look at the record, how long I was out, how long my heart had stopped, the fact that that my blood flow was kept, that my memory, I still have all my cognitive memory, they're amazed. They're absolutely amazed. Thank you is just not enough to everybody that was there that day, because without them, not only would I not have my physical life, but my cognitive one. They were amazed. The only thing I forget is that day, and I'm okay with that. That's the only thing I don't remember is actually driving to Harrisburg that day, which is a 2.5-hour ride for me, and everything that happened. And everything that I do know is because of the 3 people that were in the vehicle with me. But believe me, your first responders, the police, the fire, Tamika, everything, without them, I wouldn't be standing here talking to you today. So I am deeply grateful to them, as well as the good Lord who sent them through.
Amen.
Oh, you got this.
Janet, okay, I just happened to be coming in from late, I had to stay over late, I was, my relief was a little bit late, so, I usually done passed that road already. And I'm just driving and I pulled up behind her vehicle. And, I see a young lady with her, but I'm reading her body language and I'm saying something is going on with her. So all other cars just passing them, so I signaled to come over. And I just stopped traffic and I asked her friend, I said, is everything okay? And, she was like, no, I said, give me a second, let me pull out traffic. And I pulled over. And when I got to the car, I physically couldn't get her out. So I just cranked her driver's seat all the way back and I just started going on. And I'm hearing the sirens, so I'm saying, go, Tamika. They come. I hear the sirens and I turn around and I see the officer here and he took over, but I do want to thank Bo. This is my company, I work for Bo, training me, Miss Natalie, had her in my mind, come on, 20 miles. My voice and she's here.
Amen.
That's my story.
Thank you.
Commissioner, thank you. I'm gonna turn this over to Fire Marshal Sharice. Because in every one of these incidents, there was a transition of life-saving measures from police to fire to EMS. And as I said, life's often about teammates, and our teammates are here tonight to be honored as well.
Thank you, Chief. It was special. It really was.
So give me a change up on this one. Mr. President, commissioners, managers, staffers, and most importantly, ladies and gentlemen of the township. Stand before you as the Township Fire Chief, Fire Marshal. Since 1976, I and hundreds of other volunteer firefighters have served Susquehanna Township in the greater than Harrisburg area. A large portion of our firefighters are and were from the live-in programs. It was first established by the Progress Fire Company back in 1976. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the Fire Rescue Service is the largest department in Susquehanna Township with 70 active and nationally certified firefighters. These men and women save Susquehanna Township business owners and residents $3.1 million per station or $6.2 million annually. We are blessed to have them and continue their support. In addition to tonight's police department awards, we recognize Susquehanna Township EMS providers and our volunteer firefighters through Progress Fire Company. These awards are unit citations for life savings. We all work as a team. No one person is greater than the other when it comes to multi-personnel and unit emergencies. I ask that each recipient come forward when your name is called, and then the award will be read. Pictures of the completion will be done at the direction of President. So before that, I'd like to point out, where'd you go? Yeah, they are back there. So, no, you.
Oh.
So when the 911 call comes in for us, police, fire, and EMS, it's handled by Dauphin County Dispatch. So coincidentally enough, firefighter Draper was the one that took your 911 call. And the EMA director from Susquehanna Township and Dauphin County Dispatch, Craig Powers, handled both of these calls that we go to talk about. They were the dispatchers that handled that. And they are very, very chaotic situations when multiple people are calling. And Craig also does an absolutely wonderful job when it comes to the critical incident stress management that we all from time to time need to kind of defuse what we see on a daily basis that no one else should see. And he helps with that is because Dauphin County does a great job at that. So back to the program. Sorry. Susquehanna Township EMS right now, they're getting crushed. They're out on calls, so they will not be here. So they're going to read saying. So we'll go with the cardiac arrest. Chief Lawrence, Lieutenant Lipset, firefighter Cole, Malty, firefighter Malty. That's his first name. Firefighter Lane, firefighter Meckel, firefighter Ravlin, and firefighter Sage. The EMS providers were EMT Owen Reeves and paramedic Wyatt Pierce. Incident number 20 F24 0008 730 17th of August, 1521 hours, box 32-2. Township units were dispatched for a driver of a vehicle having a medical emergency along North Grove Avenue and not breathing. A bystander passing by stopped and began providing CPR until police, fire, and EMS units from Susquehanna Township could arrive. Members provided advanced life-saving measures while on the scene, which resulted in the patient regaining a pulse and breathing on her own before being loaded into the medic unit. Crews provided additional medical care on board, further sustaining the survivability of the patient until arriving at the hospital. The teamwork by all parties on the scene resulted in a clinical save by the actions of the civilian and the responders of Susquehanna Township. With that, we issue the unit citation for engine 32 and G32 vehicle life-saving cardiac arrest.
Suggest all the pictures.
So what are your, want to do pictures now with everybody for this one? Sure. All right. Craig? Grab pictures. Please. Thank you.
Who, me?
Yes, absolutely. There you go. Chief? Give me that.
That's fine.
Nope.
Okay.
So about the guys. Thank you, citation is for engine 32-1 and squad 32, life-saving multiple drownings. Hereby presented to Chief Lawrence, Lieutenant Lipson. Oh, look, there. And it can't be done yet. Told us. Unit citation engine 32-1 and squad 32 life-saving multiple drownings. Hereby presented to Chief Morris, Lieutenant Lipson, firefighter Draper, firefighter Malty, firefighter Wood, firefighter Siege, firefighter Hyde, firefighter Lanning, firefighter Moore, firefighter Curtin, and firefighter Miller. As Director Martin stated, this was two young children that were found at the bottom in the apartment complex. Multiple 911 calls, a lot of confusion, a lot of hysteria, rightly so, for the public. And it literally takes the dispatchers to get all the balls rolling. It takes the police department, fire department, and EMS all working together to obtain the best possible outcome for any emergency. And this was very stressful. It was very compact when it comes to time consuming, doing everybody's job correctly. So incident number F240007963, and that's the 1st of July 2024 at 17:30 hour at Fox 32-4. Susquehanna Township units were dispatched for a report of two children who were found at the bottom of the pool and were in cardiac arrest. Personnel from Susquehanna Township Police, EMS, and Progress Fire arrived finding two juveniles already removed from the pool in cardiac arrest and began life-saving measures. While on the scene, one juvenile was resuscitated while CPR continued on the second juvenile. Personnel continue to assist with life-saving measures, retrieving additional medical equipment, and moving apparatus to prepare for the patient transport and coordinating routes of travel to the area trauma center. And with that, the unit citation is for life savings hereby awarded to engine 32-1 staff and squad 32. So, one last thing. Walt, raise your hand. His ears perked up when you were talking about your military time. Walt, say hello. Hello. Malta is a live-in at Progress Fire Company on a 90-day visa from Germany. So if you talk about the Progress Fire Company and their live-in program, it speaks volumes. We've had people from all over the United States come to Progress, become live-ins, and move on and become career firefighters on the East Coast, basically. And Malta did his research. ICE did their research to make sure that this is exactly what he was doing. He was actually coming to Progress Fire Company to be a live-in, and he's going back next month, and hopefully he's going to return sometime in the fall next or spring next year, and maybe bring other people. So again, it's a credit to the history of the Progress Fire Company, what they've done, and this is our first live-in from another country. So.
No, wait, we're gonna do a picture, so.
Oh, yeah, yeah. As long as I'm out here. Nice meeting you. Yeah, I get her. Sweet. Run away. Jaeger snips. He can cook too. Nina. Does he get the picture?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow,
I got it,
yeah. Thank you.
That it, George?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Share about. Great job. It's all about.
Amen, brother. Good. My green belters. Bye. Hurry back. Hey, Dick. Dick, would you mind shutting that door? Would you mind shutting the door for a minute? I was. Mission accomplished. Thank you. Everything good? See you. Like, sure. You're welcome.
I think I'm still running. I got that eight photos. Oh.
Okay, moving on to the agenda, reports of committees, buildings and grounds, Commissioner Rothrock.
No report, Mr.
Thank you. Budget and finance, Commissioner Sanderson and or Rabarchi.
Nothing specific to report. We have a budget meeting coming up in the next few weeks. And we'll
All right,
continue the process of working out the budget.
thank you. Public Works, Commissioner Napper.
Yes, Mr. President, in the month of August, the maintenance staff performed tree and limb removal due to recent tropical storm Debbie. Effective September 6th, street sweeping will come to an end. The fall leaf collection will begin in October 7th and end December 20th. Leaf pickup will occur the day following the trash collection. And if you recall, on May 23rd of this year, the Board of Commissions awarded the Strawberry and Mayflower Alley paving project. Both paving projects have been completed. The Strawberry Alley Way, located between Pine and Ash Street, have been eroded by truck traffic in recent years. Staff finalized this project with topsoil, straw, and seed on Strawberry Alley. The funds for this project were paid out from the Transportation Improvement Fund, as the road segment is not eligible for liquid fuel funding. For a complete list of the township paving projects, please see the township website for more information. And as a final note, Mr. President, the Public Works Department continues to monitor the Cone Road Bridge project. This ends my report, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Nice job. Health and Sanitation, Commissioner Rabarchi.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just have a few brief items to report on. First is the yard waste pickup by Penn Waste will be conducted twice this month. It's a little change in schedule due to the Labor Day holiday, so the pickups will be Saturday, September 14th, as well as Saturday, September 21st. Also, I just want to touch on folks that need to report on the codes issue, which could be something like loose trash or high grass, issues like that. If you go to the township website, there is a link you can click on to report those issues. It really does help get the issue addressed more quickly. Because you complete all the information and staff can just take it and run with it then. So it's more of a direct reporting process. And we thank everyone for their patience. We, as you can see in the agenda coming up, we will be considering to award a contract for a codes enforcement person because we've had a recent retirement in codes. So again, we thank the public for their patience as we work through this, and you know where to reach us. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Administration and Personnel, Commissioner Knappler.
No report, sir.
Thank you. Police, Commissioner Engel.
No report.
Thank you. Fire and EMS, Commissioner Hisrow.
No report, Mr. President.
Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothrock.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. There was a planning commission meeting on the 26th of August. There were 3 items on the agenda. One was 1820 Mountain View Road within the mighty second ward. It was an adjustment of property line between 2 properties owned by the same person. That was recommended for approval. Both the waivers and the plan were recommended for approval and is on the agenda this evening. Chick-fil-A Dodson Court. It's a preliminary final subdivision plan to subdivide an existing lot to construct a Chick-fil-A. I think we all know what Chick-fil-A looks like. Yeah, we're drive-through facilities and so forth. This was also recommended for approval by the Board of Commissioners, including waivers regarding a payment in lieu for recreation and also obtaining a traffic level of service report. The third item was multiple family complex ordinance amendment, where we're establishing a new permitted use in the MU1 zone. That was discussed. There were a number of residents that attended the meeting and voiced opposition to the proposed amendment. So that was tabled until the next meeting to allow the applicant to return and address the residents' concerns. There also was a zoning hearing board on the 7th of September. And it was for 3251 Butler Street. It was a request for a variance to establish a family care facility within 1,000 feet of existing group homes, which is a restriction that's in the zoning code. That variance was granted. That concludes my report.
Right, thank you. School Board, Commissioner Falona.
Mr. President, on August 19th, that school board received the design proposals for the new elementary school. FYI, and the next school board meeting will be on the 23rd of September, 7 p.m. at the school board offices on Interstate Drive. That'll be all, sir.
Thank you. Authority, Commissioner Knapp.
Yes, Mr. President, the sewer authority received a presentation of the 2023 financial audit from Browns Plus. Approval of a retainer agreement was authorized for design and engineering for stormwater pipe repair on Gallup Road in the Mountain Dale development. Staff lined the 29th Street right away after USG and Rogale Incorporated were done with their repairs and televising the line. Staff also televised the Margaret Grove Development Phase 3B of the main and service lateral. And as a final note, Mr. President, staff continues to update the GIS system with lateral locations and storm sewer connection for the mapping system. This ends my report, sir.
Great, thank you. Shade Tree, Commissioner Cross.
Yes, thank you. The next meeting of the Shade Tree Commission will be September 26th at 4 p.m. and that ends my.
Great, thank you. Communications, Commissioner Roberto.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe we have a newsletter that will be coming out in the near future.
Yeah, it should have gone out, I think today.
Okay, so
Tomorrow.
look in your mailboxes and find that, and we recommend browsing through it. There's a lot of helpful information in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Relations, Commissioner Cross.
No report.
Or Parks and Rec, Commissioner Falona.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Recreation Committee is working on a 5-part master plan, as to speak, and we are looking for steering committee members. For more information about that, please go to our website, susquehannatownship.com. And lastly, there will be no public meeting for the RAC this month because we are doing a park tour.
All right, thank you. Next up is public hearings. First up is consideration of public hearing on a stormwater management ordinance of the township of Susquehanna. Which is required to satisfy, excuse me, the MPDES MS4 permit requirements. Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now is the time and place advertised and set for a hearing, a public hearing on the revisions to the stormwater management ordinance. This was authorized first on August 22nd, 2024. To advertise the ordinance. The purpose of the ordinance is to clarify our stormwater permit requirements and adopt regulations which have been updated since our last adoption. The township is required to adopt the policies of the 2022 DEP model stormwater ordinance by September 30th, 2024. The staff of Ms. Logan especially deserves credit for this, working with the township engineer, Mr. Greenlee, worked to update the ordinance to incorporate that which is in the model ordinance. There have been amendments made to address the permitting process, to address confusing regulations, to improve enforcement, to address clarity, and align with the ordinance. I can say with some level of confidence that Susquehanna Township, being the township it is, stormwater is increasingly more important as we build out and as we deal with older buildings. And we've had multiple conversations about stormwater and we continue to do so. And since we are required to adopt these amendments, it's necessary for the staff, and again, the staff did an excellent job, to update our ordinance to be able to understand exactly what we're regulating. Before I ask if anyone has any comments, Ms. Logan, since you quarterback this, do you have anything additional?
The only additional comment I would make is Kathleen Geigley, our stormwater management coordinator, really kind of shepherded this through and made all the corrections and got everybody organized so we could get it done in time for our annual permit deadline. So she gets all the credit.
That's very kind of you, and I should have recognized Ms. Geigley. And of course, if you ever want something to read, you've got a few minutes, the stormwater management ordinance is absolutely something you should read right before bedtime or something like that. It will certainly put you in the right frame of mind. Does anyone from the public have any comment about our revisions to the stormwater management ordinance? Anybody from the board? Let me say this, we'll close the hearing, but I do want to just recognize Ms. Geigley's contributions as well as staff. All kidding aside, stormwater management really matters if you're downstream from someone or if you're next to someone. It is a small detail that pays off big in how we plan this township. Everyone wants to live in a place which is properly regulated, properly administrated, and where your neighbor does not affect your quality of life. And the staff's good work on this is necessary to ensure that future. So it deserves some recognition and certainly some praise. Having said that, Mr. President, I close the hearing, turn the gavel back over to you.
Before we close the hearing, tell me if you mentioned this already, but was this hearing publicly advertised?
It was publicly advertised. The advertisement, I will ask Ms. Hoffman to make part of the record by mentioning. Thank you.
Thank you. Hearing closed. Moving on to bids and contracts.
Mr. President,
Yes,
can
sir.
we adopt the amended ordinance?
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Just to be clear, we're outside of the hearing and we're into the regular meeting.
That's exactly right.
And we're considering it. It's been moved and seconded. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Opposed, motion carries. Bids and contracts, award of the contract for IT RFP. Ms. Logan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Included with your agenda is a memo prepared by the township staff regarding our IT process for selecting a new IT company. We issued requests for proposals in April of this year. We received 12 at the May deadline. township staff and the manager reviewed those and chose 6 firms to interview. Of those firms, we selected 2 additional ones to have final interviews that included additional staff, including the public safety leadership team and Commissioner Bailona. Based on those interviews and all the proposal information we received, we are recommending that the contract with Higher Information Group for a 3-year term in the amount of $15,674.37 per year would be approved by the board. We have spoken to our existing IT company, and they are aware of the change.
And so when will this take effect?
It will officially take effect at the beginning of 2025. So it's about a 2-month transition period that they would need. And representatives from Higher Information Group are here if you have any questions.
Okay, first of all, let's get this on the record. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Colonna,
Second.
second by Commissioner Engel. Any comments or questions?
I just wanted to ask, did you say it's a monthly fee, 15,000?
Correct.
Okay.
It is a slight savings over what we're paying per month right now, about $280 or so, not hugely significant, but there will be a savings.
Any other comments or questions? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is award of contract for codes. Ms. Dunbar.
I would like to hand this off to Ms. Lopez, who's done a great deal of work on it.
Thank you. Included with your packet again is a proposal from Barry Isaac for property maintenance assistance after our code enforcement officer retired at the end of August, as Commissioner Robarczyk had mentioned. Just a general background, we currently are seeing a volume of about 278 violations were issued in 2014, and that has increased by 92% to 534 violations that were issued in 2023. So we've seen an increase in code violations, and we need to make sure that we have somebody in place, even temporarily, during this time. On average, we get about 30 complaints through Fix a month that are property maintenance related. We get additional complaints related to other issues as well. And that does not include emails from staff, commissioners, the police, or other proactive enforcement that occurs. So we figure there's about 50 complaints per month that come in, and we average about 1 to 2 hours per complaint, whether it's to verify that it's valid, to take pictures, to send all the paperwork that's required with that. Staff contacted 8 different firms that do property maintenance according to their websites, as well as code enforcement of other codes. And only one of them provides the service as a standalone service. A couple of them require that we use them for other services, and then they won't provide it. But there's only one that provides it in this area, and that's Barry Isaac. They are offering their services for $105 per hour. We are anticipating that we would probably need about 80 hours per month, which is about $8,400. That fee would be offset by the remaining salary from Mrs. Hart's retirement, as well as the rental housing inspection position that we never filled in 2024. So at this time, we're recommending a couple different things, and that would be to contract with Barry Isaac to handle the complaints. We assume this would be a temporary fix, just to get everything under control right now. We'd also recommend hiring a part-time administrative assistant to help with the administrative functions of code enforcement. There's a lot of paperwork that's involved in it, so assist with clerical work, mailings, organization of the complaints, coordination with the contractor as we receive them, and then they would follow up on them. It would also support other activities that kind of we've segregated out with Catherine leaving, Shade Tree Commission, our status of occupancy reports, updating our permitting system with, new addresses, that type of thing. And then our next step would be to post and hire a full-time property maintenance code officer for 2024. That, I think if anyone remembers the process last time, I think we posted the position 3 times and had 3 rounds of interviews and were not successful, which is how we promoted Catherine to that position. So we anticipate that it could take longer than a couple months to fill.
Okay, so for tonight, you're looking for a motion that accomplishes 2 things, but approval of the contract.
And approval to hire a part-time temporary administrative assistant.
Mr. President, I'll move for that approval, and I just wanted to note in the agenda, it said contingent upon the review and approval of the solicitor. Has that happened yet?
It has not. But
Okay, so I'll move it contingent to that occurring.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Engel. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up is action on ordinances, resolution, et cetera. 1820 Mountain View Road preliminary minor subdivision plan. Mr. Breach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, committees. Provided with the agenda is a copy of the preliminary and final subdivision plan submitted for 1820 Mountain View Road. The purpose of this plan is to slightly adjust the lot lines of 1820 Mountain View Road with the adjacent parcel that is undeveloped. The purpose of adjusting the lot lines is to accommodate a driveway with a less substantial slope than is present on the current driveway at 1820 Mountain View. The application for the driveway can be permitted and reviewed administratively, so that is not a part of the scope of this plan. This project is located in the R1 low density residential and C conservation zoning districts and the 3rd ward. Additionally, the applicant has requested 2 subdivision and land development ordinance waivers. First, waiver from section 22404 preliminary plan procedures, and second, request from section 22403.B.5 for a different drawing schedule as required by the code. At their meeting on August 26th, the planning commission recommended approval of both waivers as requested and the plan subject to the following conditions. First, that the applicant addresses all comments from the township staff memo dated September 4th, 2024. Township engineers memo dated August 20th, 2024, and Dauphin County Planning Commission memo dated August 20th, 2024, and that all property markers shall be properly inspected by the township engineer prior to the recordation of the plan.
Before we get, let's do a motion. And second.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Engel. Second. Second by Commissioner Napper. Were sidewalks part of the discussion?
No, because there's a section of the subdivision and land development ordinance that if there are not any sidewalks, and it also applies to curbing in the adjacent area, a waiver request is not needed. And so they were not a part of this discussion. There are no sidewalks present within the range provided by the code.
All right, is there a motion? Is there a motion? What was the motion? That was for the 2 waivers in the plan. Okay, so the motion that we just made was on the 2 waivers. And that is preliminary plan procedures and the drawing scale, right?
Correct.
Okay, any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next up is the plan. Subject to the conditions outlined by Mr. Breach.
I move that the plan be approved subject to the conditions.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded. Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Mr. President.
All right, next up, I guess keep it here for a while. Other authorization to advertise a public hearing on an ordinance amending chapter 25 trees. Mr. Breach.
Thank you, Mr. President. Provided with the agenda is a draft of the proposed red line changes to chapter 25 trees of the township code of ordinances, and a memorandum from township staff outlining all of those changes and the reason for their proposal. If you're not familiar with the chapter, chapter 25, it includes standards and provisions that regulate all shade trees in the township, which are trees located in the tree lawn area between the sidewalk and the curb, and also trees located within public right of way. The chapter also provides the enabling legislation for the Township Shade Tree Commission, as well as procedural and administrative requirements for planting, trimming, and removal of shade trees. The proposed changes to the chapter were added at the request of the Shade Tree Commission, which I now serve as the liaison to, following our previous code enforcement officer's retirement. As they wish to reduce conflicts that have occurred over time with shade trees, especially new shade trees, utilities, intersections, other physical features of that nature. And additionally, they wish to modernize the chapter as a whole, as it is rather antiquated as it stands. As such, the proposed changes were reviewed by the Shade Tree Commission at their meeting on August 15, 2024. And the commission is recommending the adoption of the amendment as presented. Like I said, in my report there was a memorandum provided with the agenda that went over each change specifically. There's nothing major. The most major change out of it would be adding provisions for the planting of new shade trees. When there's a permit application that a tree gets removed and the person is going to plant it, that would be regulated. It needs to be a certain distance from a meter bulge or an intersection or a fire hydrant. To reduce conflicts, there are also some minor administrative changes, procedural changes that the Shade Tree Commission felt were good to make, just to streamline everything and to modernize. So I'm happy to take any questions on the case.
Okay, let's get a motion on the floor first.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Cross. Second. Seconded by Commissioner Pat.
And then this is to have a public hearing, correct? Okay.
But do you have any questions meanwhile? The issue.
I do, if I may.
Sure.
So planting provisions. Section 2509. 45 feet from intersections. So how was that number arrived at? Because I'm thinking about the uptown neighborhood in particular. So anybody who lives on a corner basically wouldn't be able to have a tree because the lots aren't that big.
Right, and that number, it was the number the Shade Tree Commission recommended, and we did some research into other municipalities that had ordinances, and that was within the range that they had, and certainly on the higher range
Yeah.
of it, but that was the number recommended by the Shade Tree Commission. But I think that's worthwhile looking at again to see how much of a limiting factor it'd be on those corner properties, as you said.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And in the red line, I just saw a couple of minor edits. I can get those to you.
Sure, that would be much appreciated.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? All's in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So that will be at our next meeting. And what's second one, workshop meeting, or?
This would be the first regular meeting in October.
In October, 2 weeks from now.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Staff reports, we have the staff reports from the township manager.
Just briefly, in your packet, an inventory today of township business. It is not perfect, and if you would please submit your ideas, I would like it comprehensive and organized to give to the next manager. And I know that it is not comprehensive at this point. There are other things, so please send them to me and they will be.
Thank you. Public safety, please. Anything more back there? You had a big night.
Yes, sir. Nothing more to report.
All right, thank you. It was very, very well done. Community economic development. Betsy?
You have my report. I would just note that so far we've issued, as a department, 991 permits this year, and we are at 392 violations as the end of August.
Thank you. Public Works, Nate, you got anything?
Our report's attached if you have any questions, sir.
Okay, engineering, same deal?
Same deal.
All right. Mr. Law Bureau,
No report, sir.
thank you, sir. And Parks and Rec, is that covered? Covered there? All right, covered. Old business, seeing none, new business, and this goes to Ms. Dunford, transfer ARPA to general fund.
Our finance director is here tonight to present this.
Thank you. Still love it, front center. Hello.
So all township, American Rescue Plan Act, otherwise known as ARPA funds, must be spent or at least committed by the end of this year, so December 31st of 2024. The ARPA fund balance at the beginning of this year was $562,795.90. During the year, the commissioners herself had approved ARPA expenditures of $25,000 to offset the cost of the public works truck, $70,472 to complete admin building renovations, $8,400 for plans for the police building renovation plans, and $11,250 to the township auditor to consult on the township regarding ARPA reporting. All those expenditures total $115,022, leaving a balance in the ARPA fund of $447,673.66 to be transferred to the general fund as allowable as lost revenue, closing out the ARPA fund for this year. Staff is recommending that the board authorize myself to transfer $447,673.66 plus any interest that has been accumulated since the end of last month of August 31st. To the general fund to be used as lost replacement lost revenue as allowed by under.
Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. So it would essentially just go to that fund instead of being used for other purposes initially outlined by the ARPA legislation.
Correct. The only things that you are not allowed to use those funds for are any rainy day activities or pension related expenditures.
Gotcha.
So what would be like an example of lost revenue that to replace all
An
houses
example of
finished?
revenue, you could use it as, for example, in this current budget. There was a deficit budgeted within the year. So that could offset, these funds could offset that deficit,
Okay.
as long as it's not hedged.
Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Reimbursement of training costs.
I'll take that, Mr. President. Mr. President, we hired Officer David Schroyer from the Borough of Shippensburg. Under the general municipal law, if you hire an officer within 2 years of them receiving their MOPAC card, their card of the Municipal Police Officers Education and Training Commission, then we would owe the other municipality that we hired that person from the non-reimbursable portion of the monies paid. In this particular case, Mr. Schroyer retired within that 2-year period from the Borough of Shippensburg, and the non-reimbursable amount that he was paid is the sum of $9,822.08. And normally, in the 30 years I've done this, it's rare to see a request from one municipality to another for this payment, but our brothers and sisters in Shippensburg, dare I call them comrades, have made a written request for these $9,822.08. And I have reviewed this carefully, put it on my desk, thought about it, reviewed it again. I am compelled to recommend to the board that we accede to their request for the $9,822.08, so that they are fully reimbursed within the law. So I asked for a motion to do so.
So
I'll second.
moved by Commissioner Engel, seconded by Commissioner Hessler. Did you just refer to Shippensburg as a communist state?
I don't recall saying that, but I do remember in the law that any statement you make at a public meeting, it's privileged from any defamatory intent. So if I did, and if anyone from Shippensburg
It's
is
still on
watching,
YouTube.
I apologize.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next up is consent agenda. 3 items, approval of statement of bills paid, approval to reduce the public works fleet by 1 dump truck due to total loss. Insurance claim in the amount of $38,920. Regretfully, accept the resignation of Betsy Logan, Assistant Township Manager. That's the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Engel,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Hessler. Comments or questions?
I would just like to thank Ms. Logan for all her help teaching me about planning and zoning and all the work she put into us. Really appreciate her work.
Mr. President,
Yes.
if I may, 2 things. I have a question. The dump truck, is that like a permanent reduction, or is it that we just won't have it until we replace it? Is it that we don't need one?
This dump truck was damaged by a blacktop plant. We were gonna reduce, we have 2 dump trucks ordered. That was part of what the ARPA 25,000 was, and then the authorities paying for the rest. So we were gonna sell one anyway. So instead of selling, we're just getting the insurance money, which I think is gonna be a lot more than what we would have got selling and having this watch option. So as long as these next 2 dump trucks get here on time before winter, we should still be at the complement that we need to be at.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. And I just want to echo Commissioner Rothrock's sentiments and say thank you to Betsy. We appreciate everything you've done for us here and really helped with modernizing a lot of things in the time you've been here, and especially in your department. Thank you. Wish you all the best. Thanks.
Yeah, it's a promotion. That's great. Congratulations for you. You'll be at our next meeting on the workshop.
I will, yes.
That's good. Any other comments, questions?
She can't leave.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Unopposed, motion carries. Commissioner comments, do we have any? Please say no. Hearing none.
I'll so move to adjourn.
You're the new Sean.
Well, he's not here. He taught me a lot.
You were carved out of this, Fred. All right, move to second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. We are out of here.